How you doing, Christian?
Good. How you doing?
Christian, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, Christian, I know you weren't here in the past, but the last few years, the one thing this team had trouble with was coming out at halftime and adjusting, getting hot. You guys came in, the defense made a stop, you guys scored and changed the game completely. Is that adjustments? Is there a different mentality here now about things? How do you account for the way you guys came out at halftime, especially down the way you were?
Yeah, I honestly see it as an opportunity, or I saw it as an opportunity of who we wanted to be early on in the season. Quickly we had a decision to make of are we going to fight through adversity and come out a different team in the second half, or are we just kind of going to hang our heads and say, oh, we're down 11 points and we'll see, maybe hopefully we can get back. But the resiliency that everybody showed on both sides of the ball was great. Like you said, defense had a big stop coming out of half, and we were able to capitalize on some things offensively. But it shows the type of guys and the culture that we're trying to build here. So it was really encouraging. One of the more encouraging things about the game.
Did you learn anything about the offense?
I wouldn't say learn anything. I think we definitely could have been better. There's a lot of missed opportunities. That was one of the glaring things that we saw on tape today. But, it's a really good defense. Talked a little bit about it after the game. They have a great front seven, and, those guys were wreaking havoc up front. So, there's some things that we're going to correct and, get better from and get ready for the Colts.
I know people probably don't want to hear it, right? But the process of going from what this franchise was to getting better takes a lot more time than maybe people want to realize. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight for sure. I know there's been plenty of teams that, people have seen that, came from an organization that went through the same type of development as well. So this stuff's going to take time. But like I said, good teams finish, and we definitely have some work to do to be a good team, and we got to learn how to finish football games because that's how you make a living in this league, and you become one of the better teams as you finish games in tight situations like that.
What are some of the things that you saw in Arizona as as you guys improved that are key to making sure it happens here? Like, what are those things you got to bring here? It has to happen.
I think the most important thing is learning how to win. It may kind of seem, how do you learn how to win? But, it's in crucial situations. It's scoring in the red zone, being more than 50% on third down and, being, the best situational, football team, mitigating penalties and getting behind the chains and first and second down. Those things all, play a part into, having a successful football game and also putting yourself in the best position to win. And so those are all things that, we didn't do on Sunday, and it's hard to win when you do that. So we're going to learn from it. Like I said, it's week one, and I'm pretty confident with where we're at.
Did the way they came out also the second half with James running the ball the way he did, and Travis as a changeup, if you guys can have that kind of back and forth in the running game, obviously, because that opened up everything else in the passing game.
100%. I think it was our first drive. Offense had the ball, 2 good runs by James, and then set up a play action pass that we were able to hit down the field. And it's a direct correlation. If we can get those guys going, and defenses are scared of what we're able to do in the run game, it just it opens everything else up, and it makes us it makes it easier for us on the outside. So getting them going is great, and I thought they played well.
Watching James kind of up close as a teammate, him finally getting pads on and running, does that you're pretty impressed with not only the way he can run off tackle in between the tackles, but some speed, can catch the pass, can pass block. But just watching James up close like that, what did you think?
No, definitely impressive. He's definitely an all-around back, and it's been really cool to, when I got here in the spring, seeing him still early on in his, development from recovering from that injury, and just how far he's come, and, just being patient and waiting for his opportunities. And for him to be able to get out there and play the way he did was super impressive. And like you said, he has it all. And so really excited, for him. And he's definitely going to be somebody we're going to lean on throughout the year.
Christian, you feeling the vindication with everybody thinking that you reset the wide receiver market, that you had such a good day statistically?
I kind of said it before and early on. I'm confident in what I can do, and from day one, I've always known the player that I am, and what I'm going to continue being. And so that's why I just kind of blocked out the outside noise and just, let them talk, because none of that means anything to me. I know what I can do, and I'm going to keep, proving that.
Being in a new scheme for the first time, for the full game, I mean, just how did you, really, I guess, kind of enjoy the way you utilize and maybe the differences and kind of how you did things maybe compared to Arizona?
Definitely. I thought Doug and Press did a great job of, including everybody. As you see, we have so many offensive weapons, even getting, Jamal Agnew, in the game and getting the ball in his hands, just with what he's able to do, the tight ends, and then, obviously us in the receiver room, me, Marvin, Zay, there was all, equal opportunities. And, there's plays where could have made plays and didn't make them. Guys did, come up and did make them. And so, I think, for us in, our room, we all know that there's going to be an opportunity for us to change the game. So I thought it was great, and, we continue to build off of that, and, it'll be exciting to see.
Doug had talked about being aggressive, always being aggressive, and you guys go for it pretty early in the season, pretty early in the game on that fourth down. So what did that say to you guys, that, yeah, it's not just talk, right?
Yeah, no, he believes in us. He's definitely one of the more aggressive play callers that I've experienced, which is great. Because you always know he's not afraid, to take that shot or go for it on fourth down, or to be risky, which is good, because when your coach has the confidence in you to go do that, it puts a little bit more incentive for you to go and just kind of put it all out on the line. But he's definitely aggressive. I was joking after the game, it felt like a track meet, because we were just we're running so many deep balls and motions and whatnot. But it's great. I love it, and like I said, we'll keep building off it.
Is it a hard line to walk, though, with the aggressiveness and doing that stuff with a young team that, like you said, needs to learn how to win?
I think that all depends on situationally. There's definitely a time and a place where, hey, we may just kick a field goal and, 4th and 2, and we're inside the 15. But, that's obviously his call to make. But, I think it is good, like I said, especially early on in the season to for him to show that, he has confidence in us to go make those plays.
How important is it to keep in mind that this is just one game, there's still a long season ahead?
Very important. I was talking to some of the guys, after the game. It's just the first game, and not to say that, it didn't count, but, from how we were able to battle back, coming on the second half, and, there's flashes of us being a good team. And so that's one thing that we can at least hang our hat on. But this week, becomes even more important, and that's how the NFL is. The next week is always the most important. And so, especially with a divisional opponent coming here, we have to flush this today and go ahead and move on to Indy.
All good?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Doug Pederson can always let me lead on what I'm about to have a conversation.
Oh, man. We deserve it.
I can't see. Why, for the cameras?
Yeah, well, this light creates this like.
Yeah, I know it does. That's why I look down, I'm like, all right.
That's perfect.
Hey, Coach, you were here, obviously in the past, but one of the things this team has had trouble with in the past few years is coming out of halftime hot. So you made a stop, you scored. That didn't happen for a long time. So is the key to that a different mentality? Is it the adjustments you guys make? Is it the fact that you've got players who put 14-3 out of their minds and go to work? What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, it's a little of everything. In fact, defense had 4 stops. We had 4 scores to start the second half. They had 2 punts, 2 interceptions, and then we had touchdown, field goal, touchdown to start the second half. So those are things that, when you get in the locker room at halftime, there's no panic with this group, which was really good to see. The coaches made the necessary adjustments both sides of the ball, and the players had a lot of confidence that they were going to pull that one out, even at halftime.
Was there no panic in the locker room because there was no panic on the staff, maybe?
I mean, that's a lot of it. We're not going to panic. We're going to, there's 30 minutes of football left, and I talk a lot about starting games fast, which I thought if we just end that drive with that catch in the end zone, there's a touchdown on your opening drive, and then to start the second half, to be able to do the same thing. So, we're not going to panic. We're just going to get in there, go to work, and make the adjustments and come out swinging in the second half.
After looking at it again on tape, the play Trayvon made on that interception, how impressive was him reading it and then making that catch, getting over there?
Yeah, it's a great athletic play. And sometimes they just kind of fall into that, and just great vision on his part to make that play, and good to see. He played well. Didn't. There's some room for improvement, obviously, in his game, but I thought overall did some good things.
What about Devin Lloyd? How did he play, you think?
Devin played okay. Again, there's some room for improvement there. I thought just watching him yesterday and going back and watching it today, just things were a little fast early for him, and he's just got to learn to just exhale, take a deep breath, and really kind of get the game to slow down for him, and kind of be a little bit more under control in his play.
Some tackling issues at times yesterday. Is that
Yeah, it was
early in the season?
early in the season, but still, we've got to do a better job there tackling. Come to balance. Felt like we were trying to get the big hit a lot of the times when you can just come to balance and break down and make the play. And listen, give them credit. There were a couple spin outs by them, and that were pretty impressive, and just a great play by them as well.
Did Ben struggle as much after you looked at film as it may have appeared watching the game initially, and do you have any other concerns about the offensive line?
No concerns with the offensive line, and he settled down. You got to understand that's two grown men in there that he took a lot of one-on-one blocks with, and early they got him, but as he settled into the game, got a little more help from the center at times, and just kind of went back and forth, but no concerns with Ben or the offensive line.
Do you think maybe you look back later in the season and realize that was one of the best defensive lines you'll see this year?
So far. It's only one, but no. I tell you what, it's a good group. It is a good group. They've obviously Washington has put a lot of resources into that line. Chase Young was the one not missing yesterday, and you throw him in the mix, and that's a really good. I thought Montez Sweat played as good as I've seen him play a long time, and rightfully so. It's a good line.
How do you evaluate Luke Porter, first start for the rookie?
Good. I'd say not great, but good. Again, at times the game felt fast. And as much as I try to tell the guys that, hey, listen, preseason's one thing, regular season's another. It's another speed. Playoffs are even another speed, and it's good to kind of get it behind us. I think early. Obviously you'd love to pull out the win, and had chances to do that in the second half, but overall, he's doing the right things. He's heading in the right direction from an assignment standpoint, but we just got to get those young guys to kind of slow down and just exhale a little bit and trust their instincts.
How do you, in your previous experience, does that always happen for those guys in game two, or does it take a little while?
No, it usually happens week 2. It starts to slow down for them. It's just like it was in, with OTAs and training camp with these guys. Things were real fast, and then you get kind of comfortable and used to playing and being in there, and things kind of slow down. And it's nice to have a guy like Brandon next to him that can help him stay calm. And but yeah, it's a great learning experience for the young guys.
Doug, with the possessions being so important, getting off the field on third down, the roughing the passer, I know I know at the time it stung. How do you get a guy to keep playing aggressive but toe the line with being so smart in the game when getting off the field was so important?
Yeah, you love the aggressiveness, and definitely got to get after the passer, and especially on third down. And you just got to be mindful of where your hands are. The officials are being real cautious and a little more sort of out in front with the QB hits, and especially up around the head and neck area. And it was close. It was close, and it's unfortunate. Kept the drive alive for them, but for us, it's still maintaining the aggressiveness, and we just got to be more mindful of where our hands and headgear and all that are, especially on a quarterback.
Were you surprised by the number of penalties after preseason was relatively clean?
I was. We had, a couple like an illegal shift, an illegal formation on offense, which should never happen, and those to me are unacceptable. Those are critical errors that we made, and again, I kind of put that back on the staff too, the coaching staff and myself, and we just got to make sure we got the guys in the right spots, right, and we're doing the things during the week that eliminate that, and then some of the defensive offsides, especially in critical moments. We just can't do that. The team, they know it. I mean, listen, they've been around. A lot of these guys have played a lot of ball, and they understand that stuff. But I was surprised that we had, I think, 7 on offense and 6 on defense. That just, we just got to eliminate those.
Guys always say you have to learn how to win with a team. How do you teach a team how to win and finish games?
You just got to keep talking and keep showing them. Show them the good, show them the positive. And that's really. Was my message this morning to the team was like, listen, guys, this is what we did during the week. This was my message during the week to you, and then this is how we went out and played. And so you just got to keep revisiting and showing, just like we talked about, with the possessions in the second half, as bad as they were offensively in the first half, to start the second half as good as they were, that's what you're capable of doing. And is if we just get ourselves out of the way and just go play, and obviously you got to think out there, but as they say, don't think, just react. You're going to be better off. But it's an ongoing process. You do have some young players that are playing, and it's a different game, and we as a coaching staff, myself, have to continue to educate the players on that.
Do you worry about, at this point, the here we go again mindset starting to set up? I
don't, because again, it starts with me, and I'm not going to let that creep into our thinking at all. And I coach the staff that way to make sure they're positive, yet very critical of the players as well, critical of ourselves, and I'm just not going to let that happen.
Did Trevor have any ball placement issues where some of the overthrows or misses because guys weren't where they were supposed to be, or was his feet not set? Was it a mechanical issue? What was going on?
No, I mean, it's a little everything. There was some pressure in his face a couple times. Moving in the pocket could have been a little bit better at times. But, hey, listen, it's the NFL, and, we ask a lot of our quarterback, obviously, of Trevor, and, there were some really good things that he did in the game. There's some plays he'd love to have back, obviously, in the game. But I thought overall, his vision down the field and what he saw was right on point to what we were trying to get done.
That run-pass balance throughout the game was a little more leaning towards the pass. Was it playing that way? Was it checked out of some, and especially down in the red zone? What happened to get away from the run a little bit?
Well, listen, you get in those games and you kind of do what's working, and there were times where you run, set up the play action pass, and even to start the game, I think we had 6 first downs if you count even the 1st and 15 where we backed up. I mean, we had like six first downs, I think, on the first opening drive, and those were some runs into play action passes, and so I feel like if we have a good blend and mix of that, it really, at the end probably evens itself out. And then, too, when you're down 14-3 as a play caller, sometimes your mindset is the only way we can get back into this game is to throw it. Well, that's not the case. And we actually came out and started running the ball a little bit. Then we had the shot to Christian there in the third quarter, and eventually, in the end zone. So it's, it's a little bit of a balance. I mean, we had a nice rushing touchdown there, in the third quarter with James, and we had just a missed opportunity with Zay Jones in the left side, and again on the 4th down to ETN. I mean, so plays are there, so to me, run pass, when the plays are there to have, we just got to make them.
Are you pleased with the way you mixed everybody in? Because I know you wanted to get like Jamal, Agnew got a touch, and Travis and all that other stuff, or do you kind of want to tinker with that a little bit more?
No, I mean, I thought it was good. I think it was roughly 36 or 37 snaps there for Travis, another 35 or so for James. And James felt good. We wanted to make sure that he was feeling good if we kept him going. And he ran hard, ran tough. Both of those guys did a a really good job for us, and it's a good 1-2 punch. So, we're going to continue to find ways to get them both in the game and get them touches.
For you as a coach, is it more frustrating when you look back and say, we could have had it, like you said, the plays were there, you guys just have to go and make them?
Yeah, it's frustrating, but again, I look at myself too and say, hey, could I have done a better job, putting our guys in situations? But ultimately, we're in this together, and if the plays are there, we ask the players to make them, right? And that's part of our philosophy. Make the plays that kind of come to you, and we didn't make enough of those yesterday. They were there, but it's a good film to correct and learn from and get better in week 2.
What do you think of the job Coach Caldwell did in his first regular season game as a defensive coordinator?
I thought he did well, and again, it comes down to just the communication and putting the guys in position to execute the defense, and I thought that was the case, and again, we got some young guys in some big spots that we just got to continue to coach and get them to kind of slow the game down for them a little bit. But I thought overall Mike did a nice job with the defense.
The long score by McLaurin on the right sideline, what was the breakdown there?
The game winner?
I think that was.
Oh, no, the one before.
Yeah, like 45-yard one.
The one before at the 49. Yeah. We were, again, I believe it was a cover 2 look, and we played man inside with Darius, and you look at Cisco and Shaq just not being there at that time. It's just a little bit of communication, just again, eye placement and eye discipline, and those are things that obviously it was a big play for them, but it's a great learning experience for our guys. When in that situation again, what to do, and again we can explain it and coach it and teach it better, and ultimately let them go play.
That's something that can kind of get ironed out just playing more together.
It can, and it will, and we can do better at the corner position there as far as redirecting the receiver, and then secondly we can be a little more better with our eyes in the back end, and it's just. Again, it's teamwork, right? It's 11 guys pulling together for one play.
Right. One bonus.
How'd you guys come out injury-wise?
Good.
Nobody.
Yes.
And Juwan was just
Great.
cramp still?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just cramps.
Okay.
Yeah. We came out good. Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
All right, guys. Thanks.
My first tweet, I wrote Maroon, and I did completely not even think about it. What are the odds? What are the odds? They'll have 2 coaches named Doug.
Except for one.
Hey Tyson, how you doing?
Good, how y'all?
Tyson, now that you've had a chance to watch the film, what did you see from your defense?
We made some plays out there. Definitely some plays we left on the field. Some plays that we hurt ourselves mostly, and we watched over it, learned from it, and on to the next.
When you look at this game and you see, okay, you kind of got out to a slow start in that first half, but you guys dabbled back in the second half. How do you guys learn how to finish those games when you have it kind of in your hand like that?
Just back to what we always preach on, like just make sure we're not being ourselves, whether it's penalties or missed assignments or whatever it may be. We just got to make sure we clean on that part of the end, because we feel like we compete with anybody. So we play a clean game and don't beat ourselves and force teams to have to make good plays to beat us. Then we'll be fine.
Can you walk us through the interception? What you saw?
All week I was, seeing when they would do sprint out, it would be a lot of, close stacks to the tight end. So once I seen 2 and 3 stem away from me, I took my eyes to one and seen he ran out. I just broke on it, saw the ball.
Was yours a better catch play than Trayvon's, or was his more athletic interception?
Yeah, I saw his I was on the play. I was playing, so I didn't really get to see it live in action, but once I saw it on the phone, yeah, that was a pretty good pick. So I'll probably give it a Trey.
Tyson, the touchdown at the end. Looks like you had good coverage on the guy. What happened as you look back at it?
Just going back over it, as I'm running with him, I see he's slowing down, so I'm thinking it's like, back shoulder. So once I get my head around, I saw the ball already over my shoulder, and good throw, good catch. But live with results. I'm tough on myself, so I'm come back stronger. We gonna come back stronger, so I'm excited to get back to work.
How hard is it to keep perspective that, it's just week one, there's still a long season ahead and a lot of games left to be played?
It's good. We know that, but, we live to a standard. We working to win. But like you said, week one's over. Now it's week two. So we're going to fix the mistakes we had in week one and move on and, have a better game.
Tyson, you were kind of pounding the table for Trayvon months before the draft even happened. You were always talking about him. Were you kind of the guy now that's saying, I told you so, I saw the potential of this guy?
Yeah, man. Trayvon's always been a great player ever since he was a freshman at Georgia. So, just knowing, where we came from and, that program over there and how they mold guys to be ready for, this type of, league, it just goes to show, how much work he's put in. So.
When he made the interception, could you see from wherever you were on the field? Did
No,
you
I didn't. I was covering receiver, and I just heard. Once I heard the crowd noise, I was like, "Oh, something must have happened." So I turned my head and I seen him running. So
Have you seen tape of it?
Yeah, I seen tape of it. Yeah, it was pretty.
How much of an athletic move was that for a big guy to kind of like
Twerk his
bend
body,
like
yeah.
that and get it, and then pick up some yardage after the catch?
Yeah, that was impressive. But like I said before, he always been a freak of nature, so not really surprising me.
You got the quarterback tackling though. Did you get him?
You guys find him getting tackled by Wentz?
Oh no, we didn't find him for that.
Are you getting on? Did you gonna get on him at all about getting tackled by the quarterback though?
No, he got us. He got the offensive ball back. That's all we asked for.
Doug was in here talking about it slows down considerably in week two for the rookies, because it's different than even the preseason. Did you notice that for you in your second game last year? How things might have slowed down a little bit than your first one?
I think it slowed down every week for me as I was learning how to get my preparation right in the NFL and learn how to be a pro. It slowed down for me a lot. So, I think Coach Pederson is right. It does slow down for you, and then once you watching tape on the team and kind of get a feel of how they going to be on Sunday.
But you can't really prepare anyone for that, right? You just got to go through it.
Yeah, you got to go through it. If you're a rookie, you just ask questions. I think ask questions, it helps a lot. That's what I did, just picking my coach's ear and picking my teammates' brain. So that helped me a lot. So I think the more they do that, it's going to prepare.
Tyson, a lot of times last year the other team will come out at halftime and score. It was like 9 or 10 times. Why do you think you guys came out at halftime better? The defense made a stop. The offense scored. Is it the staff? Is a new way of thinking? Is it the adjustments? There just didn't seem to be any sense of panic about being down 14-3.
We just took a deep breath and just put everything that happened in the first half behind us and just came with a new mindset. If we believe how talented we are, as long as we do what we need to do, everybody do their job, we'll be fine. And that's the mindset we took in the second half, and I believe it showed.
Is Doug's approach, the confidence that he kind of rolls into things with, rubbing off on the team?
Yes, especially when you got a coach that's won before, and you got a group of guys that want to win and want to get to where he's been, and everybody buys in. That just brings us even more closer and makes us even more hungry. So, I think that's the culture we're trying to bring around and just focus on winning, doing everything we need to do for winning, the little things, whether it be, showing up on time in meetings or doing walkthroughs the correct way. It just every little thing matters. So that's the culture we're trying to bring here.
And it sounded like some of the guys that the loss hurt a little bit more because they knew you guys could have won that game. Yeah. Does it feel different than some of the losses from maybe a year ago or in the past? Because okay, well, you had that one in your hand.
I can speak for me. I feel like this is one of the toughest losses, knowing, you know, we was right there. But I'm trying not to beat myself up too much about it. You know, it's a new week now, so I gotta focus on something else. But, you know, it's definitely gonna make me stronger, make us stronger, and make us hungry. So I'm excited.
At what point do you start looking at those Colts receivers you got coming into town?
Tonight.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
But thank you.
Dylan's a former DB coach. He'll help you out. We'll get some.
Well, not, he's just fine.